Hi, this is John Lovett at The Missing Reel. This week we'll be talking about Phillip Jose Farmer. Phillip Jose Farmer was born in 1918 and passed away in 2009. He was an American author known for his science fiction and fantasy novels. Farmer is best known for the two sequences of novels, The World of Tears, T-I-E-R-S, and the Riverworld series. He is noted for the pioneering use of sexual and religious themes in his work, his fascination for and reworking of the lore of celebrated pulp heroes, and occasional tongue-in-cheek pseudonymous works written. Literary critic Leslie Fieldler compared Farmer to Ray Bradbury, describing both as provincial American eccentrics who strain at the classic limits of the science fiction form, but found Farmer distinctive for his capacity to be at once naive and sophisticated in his odd blending of theology, pornography, and adventure. Farmer was born in North Terre Haute, Indiana. His parents gave him the middle name Josie from his paternal grandmother Josephine, but Farmer later changed himself to Jose as he resented having a traditionally female middle name and wanted to lend color to what he felt was an otherwise rather drab name. So Phillip Jose Farmer it is. Farmer grew up in Peoria, Illinois. In 1941, at 23, he married Betty Andre and fathered a son and a daughter. After washing out of flight training in World War II, he went to work in a local steel mill. That doesn't make sense, but that's what's recorded in his history. He later continued his education, however, earning a BA from Bradley University in 1950. Farmer had his first literary success with his novella The Lovers, which was published in Startling Stories in 1952. It features a sexual relationship between a human and an extraterrestrial. He won a Hugo Award for the Best New Science Fiction Author or Artist in 1953, the first of 3 Hugo Awards he won in his career. He spent the next 14 years working in that capacity for various defense contractors, from Syracuse, New York to Los Angeles, while writing science fiction in his spare time. Winning a second Hugo Award in 1968 for the category Best Novella for Writers of the Purple Wage, a pastiche of James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, as well as a satire on the futuristic cradle-to-grave welfare state. Reinvigorated, Farmer became a full-time writer again in 1969. Upon moving back to Peoria in 1970, he entered his most prolific period, publishing 25 books in 10 years. His novel To Your Scattered Bodies Go, a reworking of the unpublished prize-winning first novel of 20 years before, it won him a third Hugo in 1972. A 1975 novel, Venus on the Half Shell, it purported to be written in the first person by one Kilgore Trout, a fictional character appearing as an underappreciated science fiction writer in several of Kurt Vonnegut's novels. The escapade did not please Vonnegut when some of the reviewers not only concluded that it had been written by Vonnegut himself, but it was a worthy addition to his works. Farmer did have permission from Vonnegut to write the book, although Vonnegut later said he regretted giving permission. Farmer had both critical champions and detractors. Leslie Fielder, who wrote for New York magazines, proclaimed him to be the greatest science fiction writer ever and lauded his approach to storytelling as a gargantuan lust to swallow down the whole cosmos, past, present, and to come and to spew it out again. Isaac Asimov praised Farmer as an excellent science fiction writer, in fact, a more skillful writer than I am. And that's high praise from Isaac Asimov. But Christopher Lehman Haupt dismissed him in the New York Times in 1972 as a humdrum toiler in the fields of science fiction. Well, Christopher Lehman Haupt didn't like science fiction, so I don't know why he reviewed the book to begin with. In 2001, Farmer won the World Fantasy Award for Life Achievement, and the Science Fiction Writers of America made him its 19th Grandmaster in the same year. As he grew older, Farmer's output slowed, but he continued to be active, publishing one novel and co-authoring 3 others in his last decade. He passed away on February 25th, 2009. He was survived by his wife, Betty, 2 children, 5 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Farmer's work often handled sexual themes. Some early works were notable for their groundbreaking introduction of such material to popular science fiction literature. Any of you who have read anything by Hugo Gernsback or heard of Hugo Gernsback, and the fact that he ran several science fiction magazines, he never approached anything sexual. It was an anathema to him. So Phillip Jose Farmer was an exception to the field of science fiction. And his novella, The Lovers, while it continued to earn him awards, including the Hugo, it was recognized as the story that broke the taboo on sex in science fiction. He was one of the 3 people to whom Robert Heinlein dedicated Stranger in a Strange Land, a novel which explored sexual freedom as one of the primary themes. And even that was pretty mild. In his groundbreaking novella, The Lovers, he invented a fictional religion. In Flesh, published in 1960, astronauts return to an Earth 800 years in the future, dominated by a pagan goddess-worshipping religion. Farmer wrote Venus on the Half-Shell under the name Kilgore Trout. He had planned to write more of Trout's fictional books, but Vonnegut put an end to those plans. Farmer's use of the pseudonym had caused confusion among many readers, who had for some time assumed that Vonnegut was behind it. When the truth on Venus on the Half-Shell's authorship came out, Vonnegut was reported as not amused. In an issue of the semi-prozine, The Alien Critic, published by Richard E. Geis, Farmer claimed to have received an angry, obscenity-laden telephone call from Vonnegut about it. Thereafter, Farmer wrote a number of synonymous fictional author stories, mostly for the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. These were stories whose authors were characters in many other stories. His first story was by Jonathan Swift Summers III, invented by Farmer himself in Venus on the Half-Shell, but inspired by one of the dead voices of the Spoon River anthology. Later, Farmer used the term cordwainer bird byline, a pseudonym invented by Harlan Ellison for film and television projects from which he wished to disassociate himself, and perhaps related to the name Cordwainer Smith, a pseudonym used by Paul Linebarger.